Okay, as promised, here is the tilt rotor time-lapse video. Now, right from the beginning, the first step I did was to bring in the 3-view drawings which I found on the internet, and I created an empty, and in the empty object properties, I changed it into an image so that you can bring in the image reference. And right now you can see that I brought in the first image, then I've duplicated it, and I've just rotated them to the proper orientation according to the 3 different views: the front view, top view, and side view. And also, I've reduced the opacity of the image to about 50% so that you can see through the grids. So over here I'm locking the positions of the empties or the image references so that I won't accidentally shift them. Next, you can see that I've created a 12-sided cylinder which I've deleted the half of it and applied a mirror modifier. In addition, I also turned on the clipping for the mirror modifier. So what I'm doing right now is I'm editing it in edit mode, adding in edge loops, scaling it until it fits the general dimensions of the drawing. Now take note that the drawing that I've downloaded is not 100% accurate. So there is some creative modeling differences or creative decisions that I've done to model this tilt rotor. The original length of this video is 1 hour, so I've sped it up about 4 times. So now you can see the video with the video will be reduced to about 15 minutes, less than 15 minutes. In fact, it's about 13 minutes 57 seconds. So what you can see here is after I've inserted the edge loops, I've shaped them by using scaling, and also sometimes I position the cursor to the proper center. I use scale by cursor. Okay, right now what I'm doing is I'm selecting a bunch of faces on the center of the fuselage of the plane, and then I've extruded them to create the midsection of the tilt rotor aircraft. Okay, this is the area which contains all the mechanisms for the tilt rotor craft. So over here I've added an edge loop, and then later I've added more edge loops so that I can change the shape of this hump here. And at the same time, I've made a decision to remove the edge loop and to shape it first before I add another edge loop. So there is no quick and fast. Basically there are no strict rules on modeling. Okay, it's a evolving process, and essentially you learn modeling through experience. So the more you model, the more you're just going to get at it. So there is no real shortcut that you can learn in modeling. So right now what I'm doing is that I'm inserting edge loops so that I have enough geometry to move around to match the drawings. And over here I'm just adding another edge loop so that I can reshape the geometry to match the window area. And I'm also using a technique where I'm using Shift V to shift the vertices on its edge so that it will not deform the general shape of the fuselage. And right now I'm just reshaping the tail section here to prepare myself to extrude the vertical stabilizer. So right now I'm adding edge loops so that I have enough geometry. Okay, the tail section I've just filled it up, and I'm using the view orientation to flatten the tail section. And now over here you can see that I've extruded the well, I haven't extruded yet, but I've repositioned or tweaked the geometry, okay, so that I can start to extrude out the vertical stabilizer. Okay, generally when you're modeling aircraft, you have to take note of the cross section of the aircraft surfaces. For example, the vertical stabilizer has a airfoil shape. Okay, so it's similar to the wing. So that's the reason why I've pulled out or repositioned the cross section to look like this. Okay, a little bit of tweaking there, and I've extruded another top section, and then I just give it a bit of rounded section. Now I've selected the side faces to pull out the horizontal stabilizer. Okay, this will contain both the elevators. Okay, so again, I realized that the pictures or the 3-view drawing that I've got is not completely accurate, so I made a decision to just modify the length a little bit. So now I've just extruded. Once I've shaped the cross section of the stabilizer, I've extruded the horizontal stabilizer, and now I'm working on the wing. I've already extruded it, and then I've extruded another section, and I just scaled it up so that I can construct the engine nacelle. Alright, so this is where it's containing the engine, the jet engine, the turboprop engine, which we'll use to drive the giant 3 propeller blades. So I've split the viewports into two. On the right side, I've brought in an image of the actual tilt rotor aircraft itself, and I'm using that as a reference to model out the engine nacelle. And right at the bottom there's a jet intake, and now I'm modeling the propeller hub area. Okay, so I actually brought in a circular mesh to be used as a guide to snap the mouth of this box to the circle guide. So once you finish using the circle guide, you can actually delete it. And then I've extruded a section of it, and then I scaled the points to form a cone. This will become a spinner, alright? And from the spinner, we will build the 3 fan blades. Okay, so I took a look at the photo again to get some reference. And now once I'm happy with this, I can start to create the propeller blade. Okay, so what I did first was I created a plane, okay, a flat plane, and then I subdivided it, and then I start to shape it into a form of a cross section of an airfoil. Okay, so this is the cross section of an airfoil, and after that I decided that I need more definition, so I inserted another edge loop and start to tweak the shape until I got an airfoil shape. So once I got the cross section done, okay, I position it, and then I select all the faces, and I just simply extrude it. And I know that as the tip moves to the end, it starts to straighten out. Okay, again, using photographs as reference. And over here I'm using the view orientation for reference to scale it proportionately. And over here I realized that I need the end of the propeller blade, the root of the propeller blade, to be a circular section. So I'm using the clipping command Alt-B to just highlight the section which I want to extrude into a circular section. So what I did was I selected the root frame, and then I just positioned it in the circle, and then I created another circle mesh to be used as a snapping guide. So over here you can see that I'm snapping the root, alright, the ends to the circular shape. Then I use link select to select the circle and delete it because I don't need it anymore. And now when I extrude, I get a circular root section. And over here I'm doing some tweaking to the propeller blade, and after that I apply a smooth and a subdivision to it to see what the smooth propeller blade looks like. And later I decided that the width of the propeller blade is too big, and I will actually reduce it. Now you can actually use Alt-D to create a duplicate reference. So if you modify the original mesh, the duplicates will actually change along with it. Okay, so apparently I think I pressed the wrong command, so when I changed it, the duplicates did not change. So anyway, I've created the 3 blades, and I parented it to the spinner. Now previously the spinner, I actually peeled it off, or I removed it from the engine nacelle, but the center is still at the uh, the cylinder's location. So when I parented the blades, or rather when I joined the blades to the spinner, because the spinner has a mirror modifier applied to it, the other side will also have the propeller blades duplicated. So after I've done the propellers, right now I'm just doing some tweaking and tuning to the general shape of the aircraft. Now creating the windows on the aircraft can be a tricky business. So what I did here was I select the faces which are designated, then I've applied an inset to it so that you can have a framework to it. Then later when I viewed the aircraft from the top, I realized that the width or the scaling of my plane is wrong. And when I positioned only the side vertices, I ended up with a duckbill look, which I didn't like. So later I undid that. I just select the entire nose section, and then I just scale them up based on the cursor location. And it was scaled up accordingly. But then I need to do a little bit of tweaking to get the shape to resemble the original aircraft. And you can see the amount of geometry is still relatively low, so adjustments is not that difficult. Okay, but still, if you want a very accurate model, you need to spend many hours on it. For this time-lapse video, I spent slightly more than 1 hour from start to finish. So it is by no means a complete model. So if you want it to be a perfect model, you have to spend more time to tweak it. So what I'm doing here is I'm selecting the edges and I'm setting them as a sharp edge, so that when it is being subdivided, it will have a much sharper edge. But even then, that is still not enough. Even if you use a crease tool to harden the edge, it will not be enough to show the edge of the windows. So what I did was I just inserted the edge loops right near the corner. But when you insert too many edge loops, when you have two edge loops that are too close together, the subdivided edges will become much harder. So what you see here is that I'm using the edge slide. What I do is I select the edge loop, then I deselect the edge closer to the window edge, which I want to be harder, and then I press Ctrl E and do an edge slide to spread them out. And because at this stage the number of geometry on this plane is relatively low, so we can still get a smooth result. And right now I'm using the sculpt tools to help me smooth out problem areas. So the sculpt tool is not only good for doing sculpting, you can use it to smooth out areas which you want to have a nice smoother surface. But in the end, you might still have to take the vertex one by one and manually move it. So while it is still at a relatively low vertex, low polygon stage, it is generally much easier to edit. So over here, what I did was I've selected the faces to form the windows and I've separated them. And I've added edge loops, okay, to round them out, and also edge loops near the edge so that it has a harder definition. I've also added a solidify modifier to the windows so that it has more definition. So right now I'm doing a test render. I've added some test materials and just want to render and see the result. So as you can see, there are some areas which obviously can still be fixed, like for example the stabilizer. Once you're done with the base model, you can add on other details like the side windows, the undercarriage hatches. Then you can model like the undercarriage, the landing gears, and also the tilting mechanisms. So this will take on another few more hours. So what you see here is just a quick 1 hour modeling example, and it will take you another few more hours if you want to do a very complete looking model. So I hope that this time-lapse video will give you some ideas and also motivate you to try out modeling with Blender itself. So give it a try, and thanks for watching.